What I'm going to be expressing from now until Purim is an original concept here of mine, and it's a live concept. I haven't come to a conclusion. Over the years, I've felt slightly inclined this way, but let me get to the meat of it. It's that Lilith reincarnates as Esther. In other words, Esther is a relation from Gan Eden, even before the separation of Eve from Adam. So the whole idea here is that Lilith and Esther are one person. Lilith has the female soul that resides in the Sitra Akra. Remember that the name Esther is Aleph Samak and then Tav Resh. But Aleph Samak always refers to Ein Sof. Lilith is this reversal. Lilith is the Sitra Akra, and how do we know that Lilith is the Sitra Akra? It's because Lilith has a gematria of 480, which is the same as Sitra Akra. And this is the hipuk, the opposite, the turnover, the apple turnover of the Garden of Eden. The other thing that is not so evident, but is expressed by hints, is that the entire story of Mordecai and Esther is a yibum. You know the whole thing of yibum v'halitza. This is a yibum. A yibum occurs when you marry the wife of your brother and you produce a child, or an intercourse anyway. Well, where does the brother come in? And here's one of the other great things about these reversals that occur during Purim. The brother, the name of the king, Ahashverosh, is the brother. Because of the vavs in there and the different lettering and vowel pronunciation, you don't get the effect. It's actually Ach Sheresh. Ach Sheresh, brother root. The first two letters of Ahashverosh is Aleph Het, brother. He is the brother root of Mordecai. And that's why they get along so well. And there's other deep things here. And in effect, Mordecai married Esther. He also was the father to Esther. He also, in one of the occasions, even nursed Esther. And so the point is that the king is the brother of Mordecai. And they share Esther, which is another fabulous concept of people within the same community sharing a wife people of the same mindset, people who have gone through the same things. I find this in my own life, where I talk to people who were in my profession as a child, and not as a child, as a professional man. When I talk to them, men, we don't have to finish the sentences. We say one word and we know what the other is talking about. This is the same life experience. For people who have that same mentality and life experience, share a wife. It's always been talked about that there are two Hays in the divine name, and those are that you can have two women. But maybe there's another way to look at things. And the idea of two men sharing one woman. And this is very interesting, especially if you think of like a dominant woman, or from a high-level female soul. You see? Even the words that come down in the word of the fourth Sephirot, that sometimes it's called Gedula, and sometimes it's called Hesed. Well, Gedula has to do with strength and height and greatness and a dominance. And Hesed has to do with submissiveness. So in a certain sense, when you think of the female soul, can be in the Gevura, strong, could be in the Gedula in the same type of way. And that marriage would be in Hesed, or in Gedula, the fourth Sephirot. And in a certain sense, isn't that what Avram had? He got the hay. Maybe he was in Avram, maybe he was in Gedula, and then when he got the hay, he was in Hesed. First time I've thought of that. And the whole idea of Lilith being a dominant woman, and that's the reason she was expelled from Gan Eden, supposedly, because she wouldn't be subservient to Adam. But remember that Adam, when they had sex, when Adam had sex with Hava, with Eve, he had sex with the Nahash. She had sex with the Nahash too, with Samael. Samael is the Nahash, but we've concluded that Samael and Mikael are the same. And so when you have Mikael and Samael, so Mikael and Adam, supposedly, it's two men. She had two men in Gan Eden. She had Adam, and supposedly her consort Samael, but it's also Mikael. And there's a strange occurrence here, because in the Megillah, in Tractate Megillah, on Daf 15a, it says here, Malachi ze Mordecai. Well, Malachi is also 101. And 101 is Mikael. And so if Mikael was also there, Malachi, because Mordecai was an angel, too, he's with Mikael. So Mordecai is also with Mikael. Mikael was also, instead of Mordecai, Mikael was also the husband, so to speak, of Esther. And so Esther had intercourse with the same person as Havah in the Gan Eden, and of with Lilith. Lilith had intercourse with the same angel, with Michael. Michael is the one root that goes through it. And it reminds me here because it says Mordecai comes from Benjamin, who is the son of Yaakov, as Yisrael. Michael is the carrier of the souls of Yisrael. So this all comes from the Malach Yisrael. Michael. My point is that they're having threesomes. But instead of 2 women and a man, they're actually having 2 men and a woman. There's 2 intercourses, of course, to get bia. First you have to make the vessel and then fill the vessel. These are all structures here where there's 2 men and 1 wife, as expressed most potently in that Esther used to go from the lap of Mordecai, of Achshorosh, the king, into Mordecai's bed. They shared this, and that's why there was such a unique relationship between the king and Mordecai. They were brothers. And this was a Yibum. There's also a lot to be learned from Vashti, because Vashti contains the word Shet. And if you put the Yud within it, it becomes the word sheet. And the Vav comes from Yesod. As I expressed in a previous video, how Yesod, and this all comes from 666. 666. All sixes. 666 is the Yesod. 6 in the world of Hosea is the 6 units are in Hosea. 60 in the world of Yetzirah, because tens are in the world of Yetzirah. 600 in the world of Berea, because hundreds are in the world of Berea, and these are the 6 Sephirot of Zeramp there. So it's 666, 666. Means the 3 worlds of Berea, Yetzirah, and Hosea world. So that's what we're dealing in here. We're dealing in sexual, and that comes through in Esther. Esther is 661 plus 4 letters, and plus 1 for all that's 666. So Esther is the 666, and that's why there's these reversals and sexual reversals and cross-dressing. See, and because why? Because of these things. So these are it says in the Megillah Esther that on 10:3 that he was as important as an angel, as a malach. Mordecai was a malach, and so was Esther. And they relate here to Gan Eden. Gan Eden. And that's why this will be in Olam Haba. This will be the only holiday that's observed. I didn't make that up. That's normative Judaism. And why? Because we're back in Gan Eden. And the sexual prohibitions are off. And they're off here too, but they're not off. They have to be re-understood here down in the physical world. And a lot of the problems we're having down here with sexual things are because of a misunderstanding and a misreading of the Torah and of understanding of numerology, of 666, and of the relationships between men and women, and of the needs, and especially in this cyber age. And wouldn't it be funny if there was a transvaluation of these values, and that we corrected ourselves and had these relationships of one woman being shared in a marriage by two men, which looks like it could be now as women's movement starts. So instead of it being like from a male point of view, so to speak, and the multiple marriage people being one man and two women, in this new valuation, we might have one woman with two men. One man being the provider, one man being the lover, or both. And this is why that Yom HaKippurim will only be like Purim. That there's no day like Purim. There's no day like Purim because this is only like Purim, Yom HaKippurim. And that hey that goes on there on that Yom HaKippurim. I'll get into that. But the point is that Purim is the day. Yom HaKippurim, the big deal that we have in our life here in the world. The one day that we're the closest to Hashem is only like Purim. So Purim is going to have to be a tremendous difference if this is the only day, that the greatest day is like it. This is a very, very big deal because as we progress, you'll see that this is what the story is. That Esther had two husbands, and that not only was she the husband, Mordecai was not only the husband of Esther, but also the father, as a yibum from the brother. A brother in arms, because he was Ak Shoresh. And that the two, on the surface of the king and Mordecai, shared marital status with Esther.